For the 2016 competition, the student teams were tasked with addressing 3 areas that related to small business banking. First, they were to assess the impact of the bank's small business lending efforts on their local community. Second, analyze how the bank's small business lending affects its financial performance. And finally, they were to evaluate the bank's management of small business lending.
Encouraging students at the undergraduate level to develop an understanding and interest in our banking system and in community banks specifically is absolutely essential to the future viability of our banking system. They are our future researchers, policymakers, and bankers. Investments we make in them today will pay great dividends. And I must say, from what I can tell from the winning case study paper prepared by students from Southeastern Louisiana University, and from the incredible personal stories of the students on the team, the students just might steal the show at this year's conference. So too bad for Jay Powell.
It's a nice contrast to have people who are just starting out their careers and people who are further along. And I will just say I hope that our case study winners will join me here in 2066 for the 54th conference.
It's super exciting to see how interested these kids are, not only in the research of banking and community banking, but to show interest now back in a market, in an industry that for so many years we did see young, bright minds coming out, and now we've gone through a period of time, I know in my state of Minnesota, where we just don't see a lot of kids that have interest. And so it's so exciting to see these kids and all the kids that participate in this competition to present and show interest and participate in community banks and show the response for the community banks back to them.
And where else can you go and be inspired by a titan of the industry and 4 college students all in a single day?
Is where the bank got its foothold. As I said, it was 1934 when we started, so very close to when Southeastern started back in 1925. And we've grown in this community for all those years. And it's just like anywhere else. When you've been somewhere for so long, you start to establish roots and really connect. Everyone here knows just about everyone else. There's not too many businesses or people that we don't know.
Try to, as I said, help young people get started in the community. Try to help businesses get started. We realize that if our communities don't flourish and prosper, then we aren't. So we do everything we can to make our communities healthy.
I would say definitely having been started here and been around so long, we've grown with the parish and with the university and everything. That's what really is near and dear to us as far as Hammond's concerned. Now we've added on in our other markets, and there's special things about those markets as well. I mean, in our Abbeville market, which is our branch that's a little bit south of Lafayette, you've got farming relationships that go back just as long. And so that's a near and dear situation there, because our loan officer out in Abbeville is very close to those farmers and knows them very well, goes back with them maybe 30, 40 years that he's been knowing these people. And so you develop those relationships in your community, not just with the businesses, but with the people behind the business. And that's what's most important to us and in all the areas we serve.
One, small business loans, the velocity with which the money cycles through the community is much faster than it is with large business loans, okay? So it's better for the community. And that's not only the heart of the banking business, that's the future of the banking business.
The SBLF program, the Small Business Lending Fund, it was designed by the Treasury as a way to inject capital into the banking institutions during the Great Recession. And the way it works is they identified 4 target classes of loans: owner-occupied commercial real estate, commercial and industrial loans, ag loans, and farmland. And they classified those as small business loans. So as long as you were within those categories, primarily, and then you met the stipulations of revenues less than $50 million, the total loan relationship $10 million or less, then you would qualify for that program. And so you were able to participate and get credit for those particular transactions. What they had us do every quarter is calculate what they called a quarterly supplemental report. And in this report, we showed the total dollar value of the loans we've generated in those categories against what our historical dollar value was of the loans in those categories, so that we could show our growth overall since the inception and taking the SBLF funds. In our situation, we entered the program, or most banks entered the program, on the back end of the Great Recession. We didn't want to have to go through any more credit problems again. And so we chose, if it didn't work, if it didn't make sense from a credit standpoint, it wasn't worth doing to try to get the dividend. We just avoided it entirely and looked for other opportunities. We were fortunate enough that we found many, many opportunities through our lending team's efforts and through everybody just pitching in and getting out in the communities and saying, you know, here we are, we've got money to lend. Our advertisement said we had money to lend, and we did a large amount of advertising for the SBLF program specifically.
Business Lending Fund is also the Smart Business Lending Fund, as First Guarantee Bank opens the door for loans.
There is no better launching platform than small business. So we're 100% committed to that part of it.
Main thing, the message we put out there is that we're going to do what's best for the shareholders, and taking on riskier loans or chasing yield or something like that isn't always what's best. It's just having a good, solid core business and doing what's got you here, and then continuing to adapt for the future.